my name is Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. This is another episode of Clone Wars. This is what Jessica and I do for you guys, and for us, we have to admit, what we do is we clone palettes, and we dupe them for you guys, whether they were limited edition, past palettes, popular palettes, palettes you desire, palettes we desire. It doesn't matter. We go ahead and we dupe it for you, pretty much, if you guys ask. And so this palette was requested a while ago, and it is the Kat Von D Vida Loca palette, the remix palette. And this is a palette that Amber F actually is panning, which I'm sure inspired the request, which inspired this episode of Clone Wars. So I know that I spent some time today going through my palettes and doing my best to dupe it, and I remembered something. I remembered when Amber F first started to talk about the Blood Sugar palette by Jeffree Star. She said that a lot of the colors reminded her of that palette. So, you know me, I went ahead and I went into the Jeffree Star palette for some of these shades because, surprise, surprise, they were a dupe. If anybody knows her shades, it's going to be Amber F. She is like the expert at shopping your stash. So if you haven't checked her channel out, be sure to go ahead and check her out. And check out Jessica, obviously. They will be linked down below. Obviously, Amber is not duping this palette by any means, but she's so fun to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and get into these dupes. I do have a little bit of a disclaimer. Some of these shades are not going to be exact effect. None of them might be exact. I don't have the palette, so I'm going by swatches online and what I can get that is close in my collection that makes me happy and hopefully makes you happy if you have these in your collection or something similar. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started. The first shade is called Harpsichord, and I went into the Vice 4 palette and I went with this shade right here, and it is called Flame, and that's that one. The next shade is called Analog, and I went into the Zoeva Caramel Melange palette, and I decided to go with this shade right here, and it is called Aftertaste. This seems to be a dupe in a lot of palettes. There's that one. The next one is called Fran, and I went into the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Honey palette, and I'm going with this one right here, which is called Honey Butter. Now, if you don't have this one right here, then another dupe would be Cantaloupe Slice by Coastal Scents. The next one is Legend, and believe it or not, this one was a little bit tricky to dupe in my collection. I'm shocked by how many golds I don't have. And I went with this one right here, which is called Snobby, and that is for the shade Legend. The only shade that I could come up with for the next one, which is called Vinyl, comes from the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette, and this is the only Kat Von D palette that I have. And on top of that, it's the only shade that I was able to dupe from this palette, which kind of surprised me. But I am going to be using this shade right here, and it is called Exodus. It's a very unique shade. It's like a greenish yellow. Very unique. The next one is called Misfit, and that comes from the Urban Decay Deluxe Shadow Box. And I went with this one right here, and that is called Graffiti. My swatches, I swear. The next one is called Lemmy, and I went back into the Vice 4 palette, and I went with this shade right here, and it is called C Note. The next shade is called Hyper Ballad, and this one was tough as well. I'm not quite happy with this one, but it's as close as I could get. This right here is an indie eyeshadow from a company that is no longer in business called Hot Mess Beauty. And that's pretty much what that looks like. Again, I know it's not exact, but it's as close as I could possibly get. The next shade is called Synth, and I went back into my Urban Decay Deluxe Shadow Box, and I'm going with this shade right here, and it is called Peace. Did not mean to flip you off. That's it right there. For the next shade, I went into my Vice 3 palette, and this shade is called Dark Wave, and the dupe that I came up with is this one right here, and it is called Heroin. I know it's a little bit dark, but you know that you could also blend it out and use a very light hand, and I think it would create a similar look. Next is the shade Echo, and guess what? I went back into this palette, which is the Urban Decay Deluxe Shadow Box, and I'm going in with this shade right here called Ransom. The next shade is called Muse, and I went with the single by Urban Decay, and it is called Tonic. Gives that cool toned look to it. That's that one right there. This one is really, really pretty. And if you also would like a cheaper alternative, Phantom by Makeup Geek is only $6, and that is a dupe for this one as well. Or maybe it is Blacklight. It's one of the two. The next 4 shades comes from the Blood Sugar palette by Jeffree Star. No shade at all. That's just, it happens. It happens. For the shade Anthem, I'm going in with this one right here, and this is called Root Canal. The next shade is called Love, and I'm going with this shade right here, which is called Candy Floss. The next shade is called Swoon, and I'm going in with this shade right here, the hot pink shade, and it is called Cavity. Next one is called Destroyer, and I'm going in with this shade right here, which is called Prick. Going into the Urban Decay Heat palette for the Shadow Rewind, I am going to be using the shade Low Blow, which is right here. Now going into the neutral colors, which is in the center of the palette, the first shade is called Noble, and I went into the Zoeva Caramel Melange palette, and I'm going in with this shade right here, which is called Universal Delight. The next shade is called Skulls, and I went into the Vice 3 palette by Urban Decay, and I'm going in with this shade right here, which is called Bobby Dazzle. The next shade is called Lyric, and for the last time I'm going into the Blood Sugar palette by Jeffree Star, and I'm going to be using this shade right here, which is called Glucose. It's the only true matte white that I had, but any matte white would work. And I skipped a shade because I'm silly. For the shade Black Metal, I went into the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. And I'm going in with this right here, which is Blackout. And again, just like the matte white shade, any matte black will work. Let's put those in between those two. The next shade is called Strutted, and I went into my Vice 3 palette, and I went with this shade right here, which is called Undone. I think that that is really, really, really close. The next shade is called Vox, and I went into my Urban Decay Vice 4 palette, and I went with this shade right here, which is called Delete. And for the last shade in the palette, it is called Molder. I went into my Vice 3 palette by Urban Decay, and I'm going in with this shade right here, and it is called Truth. So this is how I interpret the Kat Von D Vida Loca Remix palette. Hopefully this helps you in shopping your stash. I'm really happy with these dupes that I came up with. Be sure to go ahead and check out Jessica, because you're going to be really surprised about her dupes. Really surprised. I mean, I was surprised whenever I saw the picture. So I know what the dupes are. So you're going to want to go ahead and check them out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any suggestions or whatever that you want us to try to dupe in the future, just go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!